One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Hello, iHeart listener. We have a confession to make. Both iHeart and this commercial you're listening to right now would probably sound a heck of a lot better on the new Roku Pro Series TV. It's got side-firing speakers that fill your room with sound, Dolby Atmos audio that puts you right in the middle of the entertainment, and the ability to pair seamlessly with your home theater sound systems that already have surround sound and booming bass. If all that sounds too good to be true, it'll sound even better on the new Roku Pro Series. Your hearing isn't better, your TV is.
Deciding on what to listen to is hard. Using Zumo to stream music from iHeart 90s radio is easy. Or play iHeart Country or Hip Hop Beats. Your choice, all for free. Stream easy with Zumo Play. Get live and on-demand entertainment with no logins, no signups, no accounts, no hassle. This February, stay in and watch Glory starring Denzel Washington and Matthew Broderick, or the rom-com Breaking All the Rules with Jamie Foxx and Gabrielle Union. All streaming free on Zumo Play. Go to play.zumo.com now. Life is hard. Zumo is easy.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Minneapolis.
Wow, wasn't that fun?
Shall we begin?
Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Good morning.
Hashtag Faith Radio.
I'm a kid, so I call it KFAN.
The game is over.
Play around with a bad football team, bad things happen.
All I can say is, wow.
Hold on to your butts.
Personal foul. Clipping.
L.
Yes!
Hey, have a seat for a second.
Don't be so negative.
Thank you.
Get over it!
Minnesota is so hot.
CA, I love you and everything else, but you are not our personnel director.
Come on!
Oh, good. So, what do we have on KFAN tonight? This is the sports leader, FM 100.3, KFAN. It is your audio home for everything funky, frivolous, and fun. What do we have this evening? We have the Minnesota Wild and the Beantowners, I understand, Mr. Mad Producer. Is that accurate?
It is indeed. Bumper to bumper, it sounds like a short shift, as it is a 6 p.m.-ish puck drop right here on, well, the Minnesota Wild and KFAN audio network out in Boston facing the Bruins. The only thing it sounds like right now, maybe we'll get some intel on this later in the hour, is you won't hear Ryan Hartman on these airwaves tonight. Tough news for Mr. Hartman when the 10-gamer. But
what's the ATM going to be like for Ryan Hartman? Minus nearly $500,000 in salary because of the 10-gamer, though. Oh! I mean, that's an
I can't get there voice-wise the way that you can. But, yeah, that's awful news for him, awful news for the team. They're cap-strapped. I don't even think they can bring anybody up. Again, we'll find out more. I believe Joe Smith of The Athletic is going to join us towards the end of the first hour. But Minnesota Wild hockey, which hopefully, since they never win at home,
got with this Finch,
but save for Ottawa, they're golden on the road. Maybe they can find their way to 2 points out in Boston this evening. Wash that taste out of our mouth from what we got from the Hoops team last night. Another close loss at our favorite spot with our favorite team. Anthony Edwards back in the mix, but no Julius Randle. Maybe we missed the guy that we traded for more than we think. And that's where we are on a Tuesday morning, PA.
And we are on Finchy Watch.
Yes, we are.
Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, should be joining us here very shortly, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and 2harvest.org for Chris, coach of the Timberwolves, is on the board for Second Harvest Heartland. Check out the website and and 8 if you are so inclined, and also by Prize Picks. So Finchy off the loss to Sacramento in front of the game against the kid with the hair, Kobe White, who's given the Timberwolves troubles in the past, but they'll look to sweep Chicago tomorrow night, and that's part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list today, which also includes around the corner box checking the Chiefs. And this is very important for those of the prognosticating variety. And that would be the tandem that makes up 9 to Noon. Yours truly, Paul Allen, and the producer, Eric Nordquist, who is Mad Producer 1 via the X Machine. Please follow him as 9 to Noon does if you are so inclined. Box checking the Chiefs. Like, what do we need to go over from a respect, a fear, a reality standpoint before the producer fills the Jeep and heads south on what could be some very, very treacherous roads? Box checking the Chiefs around the corner. I mean, it's like here's just a snippet. I mean, we mentioned yesterday with Andy Reid and when he has an extra week to prepare for things, like how ballyhooed and good that record is.
Yeah,
that's part of it. But there's also a wild card to that equation too. We have uncovered. But when it comes to box checking the champs, box checking the Kansas City Chiefs, forget 9 to Noon. Forget yours truly or Nordo or Charch on Friday being like, Eagles win. Yours truly getting a little cocksure with this thing, being like, yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles -3.5 and -7.5 if I was taking things like that, but I do think they'll win. Well, it's getting louder the closer they get to the game regarding the who wins and why against the back-to-back Super Bowl champions. So box checking the Chiefs is around the corner and much more. But now, ladies and gentlemen, 9 to Noon on a Talker Tuesday, and we start with Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch, thanks to Second Harvest Heartland and 2harvest.org and Prize Picks. Chris, it's Paul Allen. How are you? It's been a wild week since we last chatted. How's the knee?
I'm good. The knee's doing well, thanks. Coming along.
I mean, you beat Atlanta, and you had some problems with it. You know, then we've had some. Julius Randle gets hurt. We had the Washington fiasco last night, high-scoring game down to the wire. And I have all your albums. I watch all your press conferences. I either attend or watch all games. And it's just since we last chatted 8 days ago, it's just been a crazy week for you and the team, hasn't it, man?
Yeah, I mean, it has. It's kind of been a microcosm of the season in a lot of ways. Without the injury, we've been relatively healthy, but we're taking on some injuries here of late, which is certainly impacting us. But we got to find a way to survive it and be good through it. And we've shown ability to do that, but it's literally consistency and sustainability, and the ability to close out and win close games is really what's kind of making and breaking our season right now.
Meanwhile, Super Bowl 59 this weekend. Where do you watch your beloved Birds in the Super Bowl while spending a lovely season Sunday in Cleveland?
Yeah, I think usually when we're on the road for the Super Bowl, we'll have, a bit of a kind of a Super Bowl watch party room at the hotel or maybe at a restaurant somewhere. But generally, if it's my team playing in it, I like to kind of watch it in the privacy of my own room. Just to try to relax and enjoy it.
What about a team outing? What about like a big ballroom at the hotel and like getting the whole team together, stuff like that, and close the doors, make it all private, and have some private fun, and I don't know, just to like gather and get together, and not saying you need cohesiveness, but like become cohesive.
Yeah, when we do that every year, there is whenever we're on the road for the Super Bowl, there is a private room. There's definitely a kind of food and things to just relax and enjoy the game.
Good. So. Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. Some rest and relaxation be good for all you guys. And with that big trade that took place over the weekend, do you think there's any chance the Mavs were watching Cavs film and were like, hey, Mobley and Allen, we need that with those bigs. Let's go get Anthony Davis. You know what I mean?
I think so. I think, size is definitely coming back into the league. A lot of teams for a number of years chose to play small. We certainly proved last year that you can play big effectively, particularly now that so many of these bigs are skilled. And if you have two skilled bigs out there, or you have the ability to have flexibility in how you employ them defensively, you really can, you really can be different, and you can, cause a lot of problems. I think defense now is, more prevalent in the league, since they've kind of altered the way that they're called the game mid-season. You allow a little bit more physicality, a little bit more kind of, let a lot more go at the rim. So it's certainly, they're going to be formidable defensively with the number of athletic bigs that Dallas does have now.
Couple of things there. It's like how far, do you know all the ins and outs of the luxury tax and like the second level? It's so confusing and just quite honestly boring to read, but like things like that play into monster deals like this, right?
Of course. I think no doubt about it. I personally don't know all the details of the new CBA. I kind of get them in the context of, what's going on around the league or what we might be trying to do and what we can and can't do. But I think the overall arching theme is the new CBA was put together to create more stability amongst franchises, not as much player movement. So I think it's kind of was put in place to make it super punitive for teams that wanted to load up with 3 stars, pay 3 guys, max players, salaries, and then, limit their ability to do anything else. So I think what you're seeing now is teams and owners, management, et cetera, are going to look at their roster. They're going to look at the future. They're going to look at the money that they have to commit. It's less really about the money because, you're going to have to spend a certain amount of that anyway. But it's really about how restrictive it becomes when you do commit that money and you do make other decisions alongside of that. And, it's going to hamper you from continuing to be able to build around the talent that you already have. Puts more of an emphasis on draft and develop. But, you got to, if you're picking at the bottom of the draft every time, like now, you obviously you're going to find role players and guys that may be more ready to play. If you're picking at the top, you're trying to find high-end ceiling talent. But either way, it's really, it's quite restrictive, the new CBA. So everyone's just trying to figure it out. And I think there's going to be several phases to it. How do you manipulate your current situation into some sort of future flexibility? And then what does that future flexibility look like as you go forward in the new CBA?
When you caught word of this deal, did it blow you away? Was it truly like one of those deals where you look at your phone or you catch wind from Freeman or Sarah, whomever, and you're like, what, are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah, it did. Of course it blew me away because if you had a list of players who would be quote unquote untradeable, certainly I would put both those guys on that list. But we always kind of make the comment to ourselves that, this guy's untradeable, but what if this other dude was available? And then all of a sudden nobody becomes untradeable, but the reality is the other dude is almost never available. So that was my first thought. My second thought was, there's clearly an evaluation of the future and of the player, and they decided that it was better for them to maintain flexibility, and that new ownership down there maybe wanted to take control of their franchise in a new way, and that's well within their right to do so.
And lastly here, because it's just weird talking about other teams this way, but with Dallas, okay, if Kyrie stays healthy, obviously he can be a menacing presence. But do you think with Davis, Gafford, Lively, and PJ Washington, PJ's never played better, and I know you're a fan of his. It's maybe they're putting one eye on the future of their team and the other eye on OKC or other teams they utilize bigs in a certain way. You know what I mean? Like for when Holmgren comes back and with Hartenstein, Jalen Williams, things like that.
Sure. that's what you do when you build these rosters. You look around, who you're going to have to beat and go through, and how do you match up, and how can you, create advantages for yourselves. The only thing I would say, the head scratcher there is that, as they were currently constructed before Saturday night, Dallas was one of the few teams that can consistently give OKC problems anyway.
Right.
So, and maybe this is, maybe they're trying to predict what a healthy OKC with bigs does look like. But, this is a multi-layered, there's a lot of decisions that had to go into, a lot of things that went into this decision, a lot of little decisions along the way of why you're going to do a trade with this magnitude.
Right. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. They get Chicago tomorrow night at Target Center. Was the back to a couple of games ago, was the thing with Julius like a freak tweak? I mean, under the basket, just like he tweaked something out of nowhere?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was, he actually pulled it on the initial drive. And then when he finished is when he landed, he kind of hopped up and, but it was actually impressive that he was able to, finish that drive. But yeah, it was just a kind of a freak thing. He doesn't have any history of that groin strain. And, hopefully he'll be back with us in the near future.
Good. Any idea when you're getting back? Post All-Star break, maybe?
I would hope so. Yeah, I would hope so. But we don't have any exact clarity. I think we should know more today on that.
Good.
So.
Yeah, good luck with that. And
Thanks.
With last night, it seems you were looking to avoid racehorse basketball with the Sacramento Kings team that can score. I mean, they can score, and Sabonis facilitating is abnormal, and he's really good at it. So how does one set that defensive tone to get the game the way you want it?
Well, I think, with physicality early, you certainly can't give them 38 points to start the game. That's not going to help. That helps any offensive player or team that can come out and score easily has the feeling that it's going to be their night. No matter what you throw at them, these guys are too good to watch the ball go in that much, that early. And, I didn't like our physicality early. We've been really good when we're good with being physical, particularly on the ball.
Right.
And being able to control where that ball goes. And that's come and gone for us this season. With the amount of point of attack defenders that we do have, we should be better there on a nightly basis. And we just haven't.
So that would be the on-ball pressure and defense and the sliding and tenacity.
Yep.
Like those would be keys to getting hold of specifically Malik Monk and DeMar Rosen. Yep. And perhaps you feel they weren't consistently executed, and both those guys had big games, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, those guys are extremely gifted offensive players. If they're able to dribble and get to their spot, their comfort zone, rise up and shoot over you, they're gonna make a good amount of those, and that's what we saw, and particularly down the stretch. But again, if you give them, it's really hard to stop a lot of these guys. We don't expect to hold them to 8 points, but you got to disrupt their rhythm. You got to play with more kind of physicality on the ball. You got to be able to take away the things that they're trying to get to and not just hope they miss, but you got to make them miss.
Right. This may have some losers lament to it, but let me hear what you have to say. One facet from last night that I do believe is fair is when you got your guys on Sabonis. Okay, I'm not saying he was the mark, but I'm not saying he wasn't the mark. And they would beat him. Some of the shots were just in and out heartbreakers, man. So it's almost like you do it the right way offensively. And it's spinning around the rim for an hour, like game of inches stuff, like Dillingham's step back three on Sabonis was so close, and it seemed like he made the right play. Is that a loser's lament?
I mean, that's the game of basketball. As we say here in the NBA, and you've heard it in different marketing slogans around the league, is a make or miss league. If you make those shots, it all's great. If you miss them, it's a whole different story. I think, sometimes I think early on in the season, PA, we didn't shoot the ball well. I could probably point to a number of games we lost because we just shot 20-some% from the 3-point line with wide open shots. I think Jaden McDaniels leads the league in wide open shots. Dante DiVincenzo early on in the season had a ton of wide open shots, just didn't connect. And, for whatever reason, they just didn't go in, and sometimes that happens. And we've talked about that a number of times. You just got to have the courage to keep taking the good shots, and they'll go in eventually. So it's not loser's lament. It's just sometimes how it goes. But, we got to try to find other ways to impact the game. And we've always been about defense when we've been good, and that's what we got to get back to, a better level of defensive consistency.
Anthony and Rudy are coming together pretty nicely on that pick and roll, don't you think?
Oh yeah, and they've done. He's done a good job. Early in the season, he was finding them well, and now late again in the season, I think they've reestablished the chemistry that we've been hoping for.
With a couple here to close with a Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Chicago here tomorrow night. Then Portland. It's an elongated homestand. Then they go to Cleveland on Monday, day after the Super Bowl. Without Julius and Nas starting, that 1 for 11 from 3 from the bench. I mean, that absolutely has to improve, right?
Yeah, listen, we got a lot of young guys, green, inexperienced players now coming off the bench, guys that we like. You mentioned Rob, Jalen Clark's been in the rotation now. Luka Garza's getting some minutes, and we're going to need bench production from them. Normally Nikhil's been really good for us off that bench. Last night he had a rough one. And again, that happens, but 1 for 11, it's tough when you need those guys to come in and contribute offensively.
What do you think of the minutes Jalen Clark is getting? Malik Monk, I read this on social media. Malik Monk told Anthony Edwards last night after the game, or during it, something like, "I was happy you got that strong guy off me. He was harassing." I know he was former college basketball player of the year, missed a year. He's a tough kid, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm loving what he's doing right now. His defense has been great. His offense, he knows who he is offensively. He keeps it simple. He plays within the flow. He's not afraid, to go out there, make a play, make a shot. And then, he's been really effective cutting off the ball. So does a lot of things well. And that's why he's earned this opportunity. And it's good to see him back healthy. It's been a long road for him, and he's put the work in. And he went down to the G League, and he got the confidence to go along with the getting healthy and getting in rhythm and learning how to play some pro basketball.
Yeah, good for him, man. He's super upper body strong. Now, lastly, what was the Ingles pass to McDaniels at the end of the game too much of a fastball for him to catch? And for Joe, how difficult is it coming in for one pass, and it's the biggest play of the game?
Yeah, I don't think it was too much of a fastball. I think we just got to have ball security there. You got to make sure you secure the ball before you try to do anything else. I think we tried to catch and go in one motion, and we just lost the ball. We got to get a shot up at that situation. And but for Joe, he's done that several times for us. He's an incredible high IQ player, experienced vet. I think he's very comfortable in those situations.
All right, my brother, put a body on the kid with the hair and beat the Bulls. We're going to go a conversation without analyzing the who, what, where, when, and why of Kobe White. And we're just going to say, tear it up tomorrow night against him and Vooch. And we'll talk next week, all right?
All right, take care. Thanks, Pete. Take care.
See you, buddy. That's Chris Finch. I didn't have the heart.
ELGSES, Eagles! Let's go, Birds!
If they handle the Kings last night, you absolutely push that button at least twice.
Because the spelling, the alphabetical wherewithal on the final inbound play that McDaniels couldn't hold on to, I think it would have added up to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, E, A, G, L, E, S.
Yeah.
But there was a little misspelling to that play last night.
It's all good.
But
the Birds will be right in order. The Birds will be in line. The Birds will be a flock, potentially, on Sunday evening as we try to check our boxes in trying to analyze this thing on Sunday.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles matter to Chris Finch from a sports fan standpoint. He's from the area, grew up loving the EAGLES, and it's a seminal moment for him. It's going to be a very, very wonderful night for him in Cleveland, Ohio, I always love that one. Just to watch his favorite team at a sports bar in Cleveland. Guy coming up saying, I just got off a train in Cleveland. I always love that one. We'll see what's happening here. All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Second Harvest Heartland. And thank you, Prize Picks. Thank you for listening to 9 to Noon. If and or when you do, specifically 9 to noon, and the Core 4 programming, Monday through Friday. The set list, 9 to noon, is courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. We're going to box check the Chiefs around the corner. Then we're going to chat with a scribe named Joe Smith with The Athletic about the near $500,000. Ryan Hartman is going to be stuck out of his paychecks. Scribe of a different variety, Ben Gessling, a weekly component, 9 to noon. He's here at 10:03 to chat several things football related and a Covenant catch-up about 2 hours from now in the final hour with Champlin's Hey Blondie, Jamie Hirsch, formerly of NHL and MLB Network, and she and her Covenant are now based in the old 702. She was here for Hockey Day, Minnesota, and we were in contact, and we're going to execute that Covenant catch-up now to see what's up with Hey Blondie. Norder produces, and I'm Paul Allen. Good morning. It's a Talker Tuesday at FM 100.3 KFAN. All the kids and everybody in the world call it KFAN, and here at the Fan to give away a little money is the Con.
The Fan does want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword bank. You might win $1,000, and maybe presumably you would put that in the bank with the keyword bank at KFAN.com.
Hello, iHeart listener. We have a confession to make. Both iHeart and this commercial you're listening to right now would probably sound a heck of a lot better on the new Roku Pro Series TV. It's got side-firing speakers that fill your room with sound, Dolby Atmos audio that puts you right in the middle of the entertainment, and the ability to pair seamlessly with your home theater sound systems that already have surround sound and booming bass. If all that sounds too good to be true, it'll sound even better on the new Roku Pro Series. Your hearing isn't better, your TV is.
Time for two more.
And he's P.A. Box checking the Kansas City Chiefs. It's predictions matter to 9 to noon. We don't necessarily, we're not of the variety where we're going to go to social media, lay out all of our predictions, and then quote tweet ourselves when they end up being right. We may quote tweet ourselves if something ends up being wrong, and we can get a chuckle or two out of it. But 9 to noon has been quite loud for about the last 7 radio shows, professing the Philadelphia Eagles are going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Started with the Con the day after the conference championship games, hitting the announcer with it's Eagles. I mean, the Eagles roll them, or the Eagles beat them, or the Eagles got them, something like that. And I'm like, well, let me think about it for a little bit here. I mean, we are talking about Patty Mahomes and Andy Reid and back-to-back champs and stuff like that. So then thought about it a little bit on that Monday and came back Tuesday, and I was like, you nailed it, at least in my estimation, the way I look at things. And in fact, not only do I think Philadelphia is going to win, I think they're going to win by multiple scores. So now, I'm talking about running this point spread thing up metaphorically, just for those of you who do spot up, and taking Philadelphia an underdog plus 1.5 points and just like giving 3.5 to Kansas City and giving 7.5. And that may be a little cocksure. But to get there, if and or when the producer of 9 to noon fills the Jeep tank and heads south on hopefully non-treacherous roads, box checking the champs is important. Just to make sure that like, given Nordo and I both like the Eagles, and 9 to noon has no problem flying in the face into back-to-back champs with an underdog prediction, what if it's just not that easy? What if there are things that are being overlooked here before the producer fuels the Jeep to head south, and it requires us to spend some time making sure there's not a how the heck did we miss that moment? How did we miss that? Like, I'll start here. Can the Chiefs play martyr cards. Can they, as back-to-back Super Bowl champions and betting favorites in the game, can they play the martyr card? And here's what I mean.
From a mentality standpoint?
Correct.
Okay.
Kansas City Chiefs. Can the champs legitimately say, because it's starting to get loud, and it's starting to, a lot of things we said last week, people are starting to pick up on now. It's starting to rumble a little bit with the old national media. Can the champs legitimately say, we are the back-to-back Super Bowl winners, and the world thinks Philadelphia not only will beat us, but might handle us with that running back? Not phony fuel with the bravado, legit motivation for the champions, that they are being overlooked. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, first, from a sports perspective, any crumb, any morsel, it feels like that a high-end alpha athlete can find.
Yeah.
You know, whether
They'll find that if it's a 2%er.
It's slapping a sign on your way out of the locker room. It's the cliched bulletin board material. Nowadays, it's a social media post. Now it's a misconstrued, out of context snippet from a presser of an opposing team. There will be Packers fans that go back to Ben Johnson's opening presser about it was fun beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. And that's all they will think about anytime they see Ben Johnson and the Bears.
Fair.
Now, let me add on to that a bit, because I was going to go down a little bit different road with this, but I think it fits. I saw Travis Kelce talking about this yesterday and kind of scoffing at it. The idea of a refereeing bias over the Chiefs. And I heard this from Roger Goodell. Here's some audio.
I think the men and women that officiate in the NFL are outstanding. They have the highest possible standards. That's ridiculous theory for anyone who might take it seriously. But at the end of the day, it's something we always have to continue to work on. How do we make our officiating better?
So that was part of a longer snippet. However, the point is going along with that, it's not just we are two-time defending champs and people like Nordo at KFAN are saying that Saquon Barkley is going to run for a mile against Spags' defense. It's people, we're two-time defending champs and we've been to an AFC title game every single year since our guy first started games. And you're talking about the refs bailing us out.
Yep.
You're talking about all of these other outside factors than what we do on the football field. Are you out of your freaking mind? I will say, by the way, I saw a stat. The Chiefs, actually, their opponents, since the beginning of 2022 or 2023, fewest penalties called against their opponents overall in games going back a couple of years.
Interesting.
So the refereeing bias, it feels like it's there in the moment, but the stats don't really play that way. So I'm all about the idea of having to defeat that mentality of the world is against us. They have become the evil empire. The tight end's gal's up in the box and she's on TV 50 times a game. Everybody hates us, so we're going to go out and prove it to them.
Okay, well, now let's box check in case the con fuels the Jeep and heads south.
Yeah.
The way you just laid that whole thing out, the human nature of the ref and his staff with knowing what everybody is thinking and having extra time to think about it up to the game, whatever the total is for combined penalties in Super Bowl 59, under.
I always love that.
That is correct.
Might be a massive under in this thing.
If there's a prop on a penalty number in the game, I'd be inclined to go down that way. Plus,
I like that.
In the end, both teams actually are pretty efficient.
Yep.
Both teams are pretty, I would say, judicious in how they operate. I would not be surprised if it's a low adjudicated game from a refereeing standpoint.
Class check, ascending the levels to Mission Mardi Gras. Okay, so there's a class level ascension. You play in the wild card round, then you play in the divisional round, then you step up in class and you play in the conference championship round, and then the Kentucky Derby meets the Breeders' Cup Classic, meets the Dubai Classic, meets the Arc de Triomphe. All of the biggest of the big ever to big, Super Bowl 59. But the athletes, the beasts, ascend class levels to get there. The Chiefs beat Houston and Buffalo, Philly, the Rams, and Commanders. Now, those teams did not need to leave their buildings during the postseason, so they played nothing but home games. Philly won a slippery snow game against the Rams and beat a rookie quarterback with a team that absolutely was just out of upsets. Kansas City beat a middling Texans bunch, then outdueled one of the best to the wire in the Buffalo Bills. Class check. Like, which beast has ascended the class levels going against better competition, and will it factor into the box checking the champs?
I absolutely think that it factors in, but that's where it comes back to you have to have a belief in the Eagles. Again, we talked about it. The Eagles roster is better in every spot, save for one, the quarterback. And the coaching situation clearly levies in the hand of the two-time defending champs. But the opponents they played, you think about it, winning that game against McVay, and if there's no snow, does that final drive, in the end, the Rams were driving to win that game before they ultimately turned it over.
Right.
And in that Washington game, I mean, there was a little bit of maybe Cinderella and carriage turning into a pumpkin and clock striking midnight there with the Commanders. But in the end, that was a team that gave them trouble twice that year. And then on the Chiefs side of it, they battled with the Bills. So the class testing and all of that measures up. I think you have to eliminate that and talk about the aura of perfection that needs to take place. If you look during the run of Tom Brady and the Patriots and even his time with Tampa, to beat Tom Brady, you needed a helmet catch. You needed Mario Manningham on the sideline. You needed the mount, and think about like everything going their way. If you're not perfect, you're beat. Malcolm Butler in the end zone saving the day.
Right.
That 10-3 slog fest of a Super Bowl that featured Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore in that game, I believe he may have even been MVP that game. But the 10-3 against the Rams. And then you think about the way they lost. Philly had to unveil a Philly special, and in the end, Tom was still hurling it into the end zone to potentially tie that game down 8 at US Bank Stadium. The Atlanta game, you're up 28-3, and the Patriots seemed inevitable, and they come back historically, beat them with James White in overtime. So you have to be so perfect. That's why you truly, if there is a belief, which I have at this moment, if you have a belief that's strictly based on the talent and the engine of the Eagles offense, they cannot make mistakes. They cannot turn it over. The Chiefs will absolutely be game in this. They absolutely will keep this thing. You can't run up to a 10-0 lead early on like we were talking about yesterday and just chill, because they won't stop. They're not intimidated. They're not going to be challenged by moments. At no point in this game will you look at Patrick Mahomes, he's like, he just doesn't have it today. No, he's going to have it. And the coach and their patience and all of that goes into their greatness, that it truly takes the perfect effort to beat them. There might just be one team in the NFL that can do it, and I think that's the team they happen to be facing on Sunday.
Wild cards.
The French conquest.
For the Chiefs.
Would have been Yabe.
For the Chiefs. Any chance? Well, of course there's a chance. How valid as a wild card just out of nowhere under the cover of darkness, because he's done it before. We watching this thing and we're like, Isaiah Pacheco. Who knew? DeAndre Hopkins. Who knew? The skeletal remains of DeAndre Hopkins out here, 693-2. Pacheco's at 7-1 a carry on 11 carries. Where did this come from to foil the effort, the con?
Well, and that's, so when you think about all of the ancillary bits, we know Travis Kelce leads the team with 800 receiving yards, 800 and change, something like that. 6 other guys are going to be active on Sunday with 200 or more receiving yards. 6 other guys are going to be in the lineup on Sunday that have at least 20 catches. It's the DeAndre Hopkins moment in the red zone. It's Noah Gray. It is the Justin Watson prop. Like how you're going to be able to handle that. And PA, as we watch this thing, and again, thinking that it's going to play out on the front end, I love the Eagles in this game. You can't stop this Chiefs team on third down to save your freaking life.
And as somebody pointed out to me this morning, asking a learned opinion, who do you like in this game and why? Learned opinions come forth with this, and we haven't said this in a week and change. KC, because every mistake you make they capitalize on.
Yeah.
It's that could be a major box checker there.
Yep.
Is that we got the steamrolling production. I think our deduction and everything and the way we're handicapping this is good. But there will be mistakes. And when there are mistakes, as it was reminded to me this morning, 15, the coach, Joe, those guys don't miss the mistakes. They make you pay.
Yeah, and this isn't about bringing up our coach or our team or those things, but you think about when you want to have an explosive offense, you want to drop 40 on everybody. I would say in some ways you can get impatient in those moments. You need 70 and 1. You need to, we need a 4-play touchdown drive. I talked about Philly's ability to control the clock yesterday. Well, what do you think the Chiefs do? The Chiefs can give you a awful death by 1,000 cuts of 6-yard passes here. And you know what? Xavier Worthy, if he gets loose and he offers 20+ in yak, perfect. If we catch Juju on the run, all of those things. DeAndre during on the boundary, and then we'll trick you with a gotcha on the tight end side. But their ability, yeah, that's fine. We're not going to throw it deep. We're actually just going to get you 6 yards at a time. And we are going to unveil a 15-play drive that takes 9 minutes off the clock because we freaking can. And we can be patient. We want to be explosive. We wish we could put 70 on you and treat this like a college game, certainly. But if we need to win a 23-22 game, guess what? We're more than happy doing that. And we're not going to be tense. We're not going to be frustrated or flustered at all. The patience of this offense, certainly, that's a box check that you got to get over, like you said.
Agreed.
And then in any mistake, that's the most simplistic and best way to put it. Any mistake you make against the Chiefs, they might be putting points on the board because of it.
And lastly,
59th time's the charm.
The records with off weeks, all right? Andy Reid's is ballyhooed.
He's not bad. He's pretty good.
According to the Eagles website.
So does this count the Super Bowl? It
everything.
Does. Wow,
yes.
okay.
32-6. This is straight wins. Okay, 32-6 when he has an extra week to get ready for a game. But we went into the old weeds a little bit on this, Con. For the other side of the story.
Did you find the 6?
No, here's. No, I didn't find the 6. I don't care about the 6. I care about the 7. Oh, wait. No, I didn't find the 6. We care about the 7. Here it is. How about this sneaky one, the Con? Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
Coach of the Philadelphia Eagles with an off week. 7-1. He's baby Reed.
Well, hold on. I must ask.
7-1.
Is the one
yes,
2 years ago.
Yes. To Reed. Ooh. Needed the experience, needed the race, needed to see how the beast ran.
Yeah, he needs the Arkansas Derby before he goes to Churchill.
No, what he needs is vulnerability and self-awareness, which he has. And here's why. Nick Sirianni is 7-1 with an extra week up to a game. By the way, in 2022, which I believe was his first year, as early, maybe his second year, he sought advice from Andy Reid on how's this bye week thing happening? And then was pressed, what'd you guys talk about? And he said that that's the code. We don't talk about things like that. I don't share that with players or other players or GMs or coaches. I ain't kidding you. Sirianni, 7-1 with an off week up to a game.
Really? Got
with Andy Reid in 2022, and Reid laid it out for him some of the keys to winning with that off week. Hey.
Is this the year where the student beats the teacher?
It's 10:45 in Beantown, where Joe Smith is covering the Minnesota Wild for The Athletic and theathletic.com. We're going to have a truncated chat with him about Ryan Hartman and the Minnesota Wild when 9 to noon continues on your audio home for everything funky and fun. It's KFAN.
Hello, iHeart listener. We have a confession to make. Both iHeart and this commercial you're listening to right now would probably sound a heck of a lot better on the new Roku Pro Series TV. It's got side-firing speakers that fill your room with sound, Dolby Atmos audio that puts you right in the middle of the entertainment, and the ability to pair seamlessly with your home theater sound systems that already have surround sound and booming bass. If all that sounds too good to be true, it'll sound even better on the new Roku Pro Series. Your hearing isn't better, your TV is.
hockey.
Hey, Joe, it's Paul Allen. Thanks for taking time to join us. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Now, Joe Smith covers the Minnesota Wild for The Athletic at Joe Smith NHL via Twitter. Follow him as 9 to noon is so inclined to do. And first and foremost, on behalf of the radio show and the radio station and everybody else, congratulations on becoming a father. Is it a boy or a girl? And what has daddydom been like for you?
Well, thank you so much. It's been 7.5 months already. Baby boy named Connor. So it's been a game changer, as you know. A lot of really wonderful things and a lot of things that'll challenge you and test you. But I'll tell you what, going on the road has never been so hard. You know, love these cities in Montreal and Toronto and Boston, but you know, thank God for FaceTime. That's all I can say.
Cast your gaze, if possible, the way of the days that he will be attending. Connor will be attending games you cover. Might even be in the press box with you by your side, just as a Cub reporter guy. I mean, those days may be coming too. Those will be beautiful.
Oh, we'll bring him to a game in March at least, by an afternoon game. I think we'll bring him. So he'll get it. You know, he's born in Edina, so he is born to play hockey, I think. So.
Hey, I'm looking at Twitter at Joe Smith NHL. Marcus Johansson on ice for Minnesota Wild practice. Brodeen is in the house too. So Joe and Brodeen set to play this evening, Joe?
Yep, they've been activated. So they'll be playing tonight for the Wild. They decided to keep the extra forwards, Shore and Ben Jones. So they won't have an extra forward tonight because Ryan Hartman is still under that suspension, so limits their flexibility going forward a little bit. But the good news is Brodeen and Johansson are back. And
sounds of hockey.
Literally, that's the A topic. Holy cow with Ryan Hartman. 10-game suspension, lost salary of nearly $500,000, and he won't be playing until March 9th. Joe, do you think he appeals the league's decision for really 10 of 10 losing his composure in that Saturday faceoff versus Tim Stützle? And good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it's a tough one because, you know, the appeal process hasn't always been very successful in the past. And, you know, the league made a pretty strong argument in the player safety video last night, if you heard it, where he's basically been disciplined every 60 games in his NHL career based on the 5 suspensions and 7 fines. And, you know, they punish repeat offenders more strictly and severely, and this is the 4th suspension since 2023. So, I mean, he's still debating it, I think. He's on the ice right now for the morning skate with Minnesota Wild, but considering his history, it might be a hard appeal to win or at least make any significant dent in it.
Why did he do what he did? I mean, the puck drops and he just elbow pile drives the guy's face to the ice.
Well, we haven't talked to him individually yet, but in his hearing, a Zoom hearing with the league yesterday, according to the video, that Hartman contended that he was trying to keep his balance with his arms on the back of Stützle, and that's kind of what happened. He was, you know, bracing his fall in that respect. So that was his explanation versus what it looked like was that he, you know, shoved the players, you know, face to the ice, and they had been going at it that whole game. And Stützle had that 2-handed splash that was called, and Hartman was called for retaliation. So I think from above, and we all thought it was kind of one of those retaliatory kind of, you know, playing hot kind of moments, but at least according to the video and according to the league, they announced that that's what was Hartman contended in his hearings, was that he was trying to brace his fall as more of an accidental thing versus on purpose.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Joe Smith, The Athletic, theathletic.com. Couple of quickies to close here. He's in Boston. You can hear the morning skate taking place behind him. And Marcus Johansson and Jonas Brodeen returning for the Wild tonight on KFAN. That's cool. Hartman was suspended close to a year ago when he threw a stick in the direction of a ref. Now, that was 3 games. Any surprise, because you have a trained eye and are an elite hockey mind, and any surprise league-wide the NHL jumped up to 10 games?
Well, I mean, there are 2 different kind of offenses, and I think once he had was offered an in-person hearing, that automatically can jump it to you can do, 6+ games once you are given or offered an in-person hearing. So I think he kind of figured that last one wasn't that particular case. So this was kind of rose to kind of had a larger perspective on what they could do punishment-wise. And so I think it's just not even just mostly the offense is different or more severe. It's more so that it's kind of adding to each other. The 4 suspensions in 2023 kind of led to the fact that the Department of Player Safety wanted to either send a message or just get their point across that guys who are considered repeat offenders for 3 state suspensions kind of need to get the message there.
Do you sense he's falling out of favor with the team? I mean, 9 days ago at Chicago, Hines dropped him to the 4th line.
I mean, that obviously was a sign there just of kind of his play as of recently in that particular moment. I know obviously he's still very well liked by teammates in the room. Like, I don't think that's an issue, but I think, the best ability is availability, right? And, he put his team in a bind last game by taking a 5-minute major when they were down 3-0 in a really bad game as it is, and then had to fight off 5-minute power play there and give up 3 goals. And now you have no flexibility on your roster. He's on your roster still, and they have no extra forward tonight. So they had to send Ben Jones down to make room for Johansson. So, yeah, I could see why there might be some frustration, whether it's from John Hines or like the team perspective, because they're still in a tight race for a playoff spot, right? And they want to be able to make a push, and they have him unavailable for the next month. And they got to figure out what way to kind of manage it with their roster if they're already up against it.
Hey, last one here, my brother. Thanks for the time. With Hartman, I mean, is it your feeling that he's just snapping out there on the ice, kind of like a child incapable of gaining self-control? Or maybe he feels the reactions are born of a constant string of getting back at players for things they do?
And I know I've talked to him about this even before the season. I'm like, the eyes are on you, right? That people are going to watch you because of your history. He goes, yeah, he's like, I know I got to be smarter in certain instances. I don't want to change my game. He plays with an edge, but he also, some of those suspensions or some of those disciplines where he felt he was defending his teammates. The Perfetti thing, defending after Kaprizov got hit by him. So I think in a lot of cases, at least from his perspective, he's defending his own teammates. But that last game wasn't that case, and I think there are times, like John Hines said, he gets really plays on the edge, but he has to sit down and take a breath and decide in that moment to make the right decision. And he clearly didn't do that last game.
Hey, have a wonderful day. Enjoy the game, and we'll catch up down the road, okay?
Sounds great. Thanks, DA. Take care.
See you, Joe. That's Joe Smith, covers the Minnesota Wild for The Athletic and theathletic.com. And you can follow him, as 9 to Noon does, at Joe Smith, NHL. A topic news out of that, I mean, for at least the recency, Marcus Johansson and Jonas Brodin will be playing this evening for the Minnesota Wild. That's cool. The 1A, because it popped yesterday, Ryan Hartman, 10-game suspension with salary deductions, paycheck deductions of nearly $500,000. He has an opportunity to appeal it face-to-face with the commissioner of the NHL, Gary Bettman, and there's been no confirmation as to whether he will do that. Second hour of the radio show features the scribe, Ben Gessling from the Star Tribune. He's a weekly component, 9 to noon, and he's not.
Every lottery ticket purchase keeps education in our state moving forward. In fact, the lottery has raised more than $200 million for state school buses to get our students to school safely every day. Then, the lottery helps those students go even further in their education by funding the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. So remember, when you play the lottery, you're keeping South Carolina students on the road to success. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to have supervision, enhanced hearing, extraordinary reflexes, to be, dare we say, superhuman? Well, Roku's new Pro Series TV can't do any of that for you. But with a 4K screen, side-firing speakers, and a blazing fast refresh rate, it'll sure feel like it. Elevate your entertainment using all your favorite apps like iHeart and play all your music, radio, and podcasts with the new Roku Pro Series. Your senses aren't better. Your TV is.
It is Ryan Seacrest here, ready to start 2025 on the right foot? Me too. When I want to feel my best, I make sure my gut health is in check. That's why I love drinking Health-Ade Kombucha daily. It's powered with probiotics, which helps you feel less bloated and more refreshed. For my Aldi fans, you're in luck. You can find 2 of Health-Ade's delicious flavors, Mango Lemonade and Citrus Immune Boost, at Aldi for a limited time. It is such an easy way to get your probiotics. Look for the brown bottle with an anchor on it at an Aldi near you.